My name's Olivia, and welcome to this week's episode of History Trivia, where we interview famous people from the past and allow you to send in your questions. This week we are travelling back to the French Revolution to interview King Louis XVI. Please make King Louis welcome.
Hello everybody, it's a pleasure to be here today.
Okay, let's get started. First question was sent in to Louise, who asks, tell us a bit about your childhood. What was it like living in a royal family, and what were some of your interests?
I was born on the 23rd of August, 1754, in Versailles. I was one of 7 children and the second son of Louis the Dauphin of France and Marie Joseph of Saxony. My grandfather was King Louis XV of France. Growing up in a royal family, my parents neglected me, and I was never as good as my older brother. But sadly, he passed away at an age of 9. I enjoyed a variety of things, including my studies, such as Latin, history, geography, and astronomy, which I excelled in. I was also fluent in Italian and English and enjoyed going hunting with my grandfather. At a young age, I was encouraged to do locksmithing, which my parents said was an important skill for children.
Wow, you sure did a lot of fun stuff as a child. The next question was sent in by Luke, who asks, when did your parents die and why?
My father died of tuberculosis on the 20th of December, 1765. My mother never managed to recover from the loss of her husband. So therefore, she later died of the same disease 2 years later on the 13th of March, 1767.
I'm so sorry for your loss. The next question comes in from Ellie, who asks, how did you feel about getting married at such a young age?
I got married to Marie Antoinette, who was 14 in the year 1770, at the young age of 15. We were put in an arranged marriage to consolidate an alliance between France and Austria. I was so scared of being manipulated, which made me act coldly in front of her. But we later became closer over time.
I can't even imagine getting married at such a young age. The next question was sent in from Gary, who asks, what feelings did you have when you found out you had inherited the throne, and how did you prepare?
I was received education from 1760 till I got married in 1770. I studied religion, morality, and humanities to help me when I inherit the throne, but this simply didn't prepare me enough for what I was about to face. As in 4 years later, my grandfather died, which led to me becoming the next King of France at the young age of 19. I had an enormous responsibility, and I felt like I was unqualified for the job. To make matters worse, my government was in huge debt, and the resentment of the monarchy was on the rise.
Seems like quite a change from your previous years. You must have been shocked. Next question comes from Melissa, who asks, why did you and Marie not have children for so long? Was there a specific reason, and how did the pregnancies go?
My wife and I had failed to have children several years into our marriage, which caused major strain on our relationship, and we were often mocked because of our infertility. We found out the reason in 1772 was because I had physiological dysfunction. I was supposed to undergo surgery, but I later declined it. And in the 3rd week of August 1777, Marie was finally pregnant, which was our firstborn, Marie Therese. And we later had 3 more children, but sadly our last didn't make it through infanthood. My wife had also 2 miscarriages throughout her pregnancies, which put even more strain onto our relationship.
Wow, your wife must have been through a lot. Luckily you guys finally had children. Next question was sent in by Linda, who asks, how did you and Marie start to get a bad reputation? And what was it like having accusations against your wife?
Marie and I started to get a bad reputation when our firstborn was a girl, as everybody wanted an heir to the throne, and we simply couldn't produce a boy. I was supported the colonists in the American War, which brought the country almost to bankruptcy. Accusations such as my wife was the reason we were in debt put Marie in such a bad position. It was awful having these accusations put against her.
It really is terrible to have something like that happen to you. The next question was sent in by Rob, who asks, what happened to the Bastille prison in the year 1789? Many things happened in the year 1789 that I'm not proud of. For starters, I tried to help the crisis France was in by raising the taxes. Also, there were rumours that I intended to suppress the assembly, which provoked the attack on the Bastille prison on July 14th. That's awful. Amanda asks the next question, how did your country of France become so far in debt, and how and why did you end up in Paris? France became so far in debt because of a number of reasons, which included my wife spending far too much money on fancy clothing and throwing many balls. In October that year, my family and I were forced to move to Paris by a mob from our home in Versailles. How tragic! Lily asks, what bad decision did you make, and what was it like having to go back to Paris? The bad decision I had made was to agree with my wife and try to escape to Paris, to the eastern frontier. But this was the worst decision, as we got captured and brought back to Paris. It was so embarrassing to be brought back, and I lost all my credibility as a monarch. We were suspected of treason, which led to the capture of the royal palace, and then I got my temporary suspension of my royal powers. Leah asks, were those suspicious treason accusations true?
Sadly, they were. I feel so terrible towards my country. In September 1792, the National Convention abolished the monarchy and declared France a republic. I was then found guilty of treason that November, of secret dealings and counter-revolutionary intrigues. I was put to death by the guillotine on the 21st of January 1793 at the age of 38. My wife then was also executed 9 months later.
Oh wow, that's terrible. I can't believe they killed you. The final question was sent in by Riley, who asks, what were your famous last words before being put to death? My favourite question. Before I was put to death, I said, I die innocent of all crimes imputed to me. I pardon the authors of my death and pray God that the blood you are about to shed will never fall upon France. Thank you for answering all our intriguing questions today. It was no problem. I hope you all learned something today about me, my family, and the French Revolution. To be in next week's videos, submit all your questions to 0477 8899, where we will be talking to Leonardo da Vinci about his famous artwork. Tune in next week on History Trivia.